Hi, we're going to do a very quick rundown the typical insurance needs for a company. Now, this won't be at a deep level, so if you've got any questions, feel free to get in touch or indeed talk to your insurance advisor. So, some kinds of insurance that I often see: general liability, whether that's public liability or product liability, property, buildings, and contents. Workers' compensation is often a must. Professional indemnity, directors and officers, personal accident, business interruption. Legal protection is a new one I'm seeing a lot, and key man insurance, which is traditionally old, but I'm also seeing a kind of a buyout founder's death plan. So general liability, this is where these policies are often called a lot of different things, but broadly split into either very, very general, as we have there, public liability for if you're coming into contact with the public. So if someone falls over in your office, for example, and a product liability, actually dealing with a faulty product, and that might not be one that you manufacture; it might be one that you sell. All of these, you need to think about what your risk is. If you have a hairdressing salon, then public liability is very important. If you are, providing SEO services, product liability is probably not very important. Now, buildings and contents insurance, very similar to what you have at, your own home. If you own the building, you get it insured. If you don't own the building, you make sure you insure the contents. Now, please note there might be a lot of exceptions on this, especially for items such as laptops that won't be insured, or indeed data. Some of these policies will also include some kind of interruption insurance, which we'll cover a little bit later. Workers' compensation, often this is a legal requirement, and this will pay for injuries to staff. Some companies are exempt, some employees are exempt, some it's mandatory. This is something you need to get local advice. Professional indemnity, if you're supplying advice, professional services, this is an insurance that will cover any issues of you being sued for your reporting. If you make a genuine mistake in your work, client loses money, etc. Often professional bodies will require this. So if you're a surveyor, accountant, or an architect, and those bodies will often have a discounted scheme for you to apply to. Directors and officers, very important when you start having extra people appear on the board. This will protect them if they find themselves in a legal situation due to the actions of their job and them being sued personally. That generally can be a little bit expensive, but it depends on the services that the business is actually doing. Personal accident and medical, this is often put in place for your staff. And I won't go into great details because this is something that you'll all be experienced with. One thing to note, though, is sometimes people try and get global plans. Often the local plans are actually more reasonable if you don't have a huge number of staff. Business interruption, this will cover loss of earnings if your business is closed, flood, fire in Hong Kong, typhoons. And the last super typhoon that came through Hong Kong, a lot of businesses, a lot of our clients had to claim for this, and they did get payouts that helped them continue. Legal protection, you can buy policies now that can cover your legal fees if actions are brought against you in your business, and that's great. Then key man insurance. Well, key man insurance is some form of financial package that you get if the key man is dead or illness, out of work, etc. The terms vary very, very wildly, and you need to look at that carefully. The founder buyout is a new one I've seen recently, whereby, say there's two founders. If one founder dies, there's an agreed valuation. The founder's estate is paid out for those shares, and those shares go across to the other founder. That can be a great way of dealing with that kind of exit. Insurance is complicated. Make sure you talk to an expert. Really make sure what's covered and what's not. Explicitly what's not covered, and also the excess. And please make sure you pay the premiums, because if the premium is not paid, you're not covered. That's it. Please feel free to get in touch.